So we're going to make sure we have that concept of water, access, and structure as part of our evaluation of any property. They're going to be our most important considerations with a property because they are the considerations that are most difficult to change. If I already have a structure on a property, it's a lot of times financially not valid to, tear it down and rebuild it. However, another way to look at it, even if I have raw land, when I look at building sites, if I have a completely flat piece of land, well, I can pretty much build anywhere I want. But if I have sloping land or what have you, then there's certain sites that are, conducive to building, and changing those is very, very expensive. And trying to can often result in what you call a type 1 error. A type 1 error means from the day you finish, for the rest of your life, you wish you hadn't done it. And building sites and water storage sites are two places that can often happen. So we want to go in with that look right from the beginning. Where is my water going to be on this property, or where is my water on this property? So another way, so it's one, I can put a dam in certain spots. I can't put a dam in every spot effectively. If there's a stream or a dam on a property, I can't just pick it up and move it. If I try that and I put a lot of investment in and do it wrong, I can commit a type 1 error. My access. When I look at a piece of property, I got to be able to get in and out of it. And there will be places where if I put a road in, I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing maintenance on the road. Where if I follow the contours of a property, I only have certain places where I have elevation changes. I can put in very robust infrastructure there, or if it's already there, I can maintain it easily. And going across that property on contours will be a lot more efficient and economical to maintain. So changing that, to change the contour of 10 acres, or the way the 10 acres of land lays, it's impossible. It's not impossible, but it's impossible at our budget levels, right? I mean, we're talking about bringing in major equipment and doing a major overhaul, dozers and excavators and things like that on a almost like a county government level to truly change the way that much land lies. Too expensive, doesn't make sense. So all of those elements, water, access, and structure, are things that are difficult to change, and therefore they need to be evaluated critically before we make a decision on a piece of land. And again, I say that to a person who wants to set up a little farm. It doesn't matter if it's a bug out location, a little farm. This is just how we analyze real estate. If we're buying a piece of property with a pre-built home and existing roads and maintained and what have you, then that's been worked out for us, but it's also permanent. And we have to be sure that it's going to work for us and what we want out of the property. So sometimes it's a really good thing. Sometimes it's not so good because engineers and real estate developers do things for expediency's sake, not for the long-term needs of the resident. That's just reality. It's a financial decision that those guys make. So let's move on to actually finding a property. If you're looking for remote property, you're going to find yourself spending time online. It's really the only practical way to do it if you have a full-time job or even a part-time job and a life. Because if you're looking at to me, a bug out location, minimum distance would be an hour and a half. I'm looking more like 2 hours, and my sweet spot's 2 to 4 hours of distance from where you're at. That doesn't mean that works for everybody. I did a whole podcast segment and video not long ago. I'll link to it in the notes today for you, that segment, so you can hear about my distance equations and how that works out and how everybody has a different number based on where you live, what's available, what's your budget. But if you can do it, it's a sweet spot. 2 hours is far enough that whatever's really affecting you where you're at, you're probably not going to have it affect you as much where you've gone. So if you have something critical enough to make you leave, then there's probably 2 hours away. It's probably better. Okay. If it's not, maybe it's just not your day. I don't know. 4 hours, you can still go there and come back in a single day, sort of. 3 is like what I'm setting as a limit for myself right now, and I always give advice based on what I would do myself, is about 3 hours. If I have a property 3 hours away and I can fish on it, I can leave at 6 o'clock in the morning. I can be there by 9. I can spend a whole day fishing, have lunch out there, maybe do a little bit of work on the property if some things need to be done. I can leave about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, be home at 7 o'clock for supper with my wife if I go alone. 4 hours, I'm probably spending the night. Not that I wouldn't want to spend the night, but I might not want to all the time. I might have a flexibility to do that all the time. So having that distance equation, that 2 to 4 hour distance is your goal, is a good place to start. Well, then you probably aren't going to have a lot of time to be driving around there. So Realtor.com is a decent site. More for the prepper types, a lot of us are going to be looking at sites like Lands of, fill in the blank. So wherever state you're looking in, if you go to Lands of Texas or landsofmontana.com, you'll find a great site to look up for property, both raw land and houses on it. Another site to look is United Country. Those sites are not generally the best sites to find the best deals, but they give you an idea of what you're looking for in an area, so you can start narrowing down areas. Another one is LandWatch, is another site that you can go look at. Those are all great sites to look for. I'll put links to all of them in the video notes and show notes today. But, I mean, at some point you got to realize, since you're doing this remotely, you need someone on the ground. Now, the best case scenario would be you're moving somewhere where you have existing friends or family, or that you're setting up a bug out location where someone lives that you know that can kind of talk to locals and look around for you and keep an ear to the ground. That would be great. But most of us, that's not going to be the case. So we have to do the thing that I absolutely hate the most: find a real estate agent. And finding a good one is hard. In fact, I put it this way: finding a good real estate agent, good luck. I recommend that you learn the ins and outs of basic real estate negotiation so that when you get into a negotiation, you can tell your agent what to do, because most of them don't have a clue what to do. I've had a bunch of agents. I've had agents say really, really stupid things. The property that I live at right now, the house I'm sitting in, the buyer or the seller wanted $250,000. We offered $230,000. The appraiser came in at $200,000. Woohoo for me. I mean, most people would freak out. I was like, that's the greatest thing I ever heard in my life. And my real estate agent was freaking out. And I'm like, don't you understand they're screwed? We know what they owe on the property. They owed like $160,000, so they can take cash out at $200,000. So I'm going to make them an offer. I'm going to offer to come up with it, because what she wanted me to do is, can you come up with $30,000 extra and solve the problem? No, you dumbass, and you're lucky I'm keeping you. That's what I felt like saying. What I said was, no, we won't be doing that. She said, well, what are we going to do? I don't know. I thought you were a real estate agent. Fortunately, I've been through this before. And this is what we did. We went back to him and said, we will give you $205,000 for the property. The buyer will come up with an additional $5,000 on the property. And you can take it or you can piss off. My real estate agent really didn't want to do that. So I wrote the letter. I said, you give them this. You don't talk anymore. Now you're representing me. Here's an email. You forward it to the seller's agent. And the reality was they were screwed. Once they had a property appraised for that rate, and they had already had it sitting on the market for so long, it was overpriced, and that's why it sat for so long. There's no way that property's going to appraise for $230,000, $220,000 ever in the next 6 months, unless something dramatic happens in the market. Any appraiser, they'd first have to do unlist the property, relist the property, get another offer, and then have that appraiser come out and appraise the value of the property higher. Because most people are not going to just shit money to buy a property. They're just not going to do it. And the lender's not going to lend beyond the appraised value of the property. Everything's based on the appraised value of the property and the sale of comparables. So like a week went by and they didn't say anything, and my wife's biting her fingernails because she really wanted to get the deal done and get back to Texas. And my real estate agent's like, are you sure you can't come up with no more money? Quit talking like Mickey Mouse and don't worry about it. And it was over the New Year's holidays, and on the second or third, whatever day it was that was actually the first day back to work, they called and said, yeah, they would take the offer. Everybody was surprised but me. Do you know why I wasn't surprised? They were screwed. Now, if I didn't know that we did have capital, I might have come up with $15,000 or $20,000 and met them in the middle, which was her next suggestion. But since I know the way real estate works, I was unwilling to do that. So when it comes to having a real estate agent, this is what they're good for. Getting information about properties and setting up visitations, you got to do your own work. Now, I know there's some good real estate agents out there that are pissed off at me right now. You shouldn't be pissed off at me. You should be pissed off at the 90% of people that have your job that don't know what the hell they're doing. Another problem I've had with real estate agents, the same one, Mickey Mouse, I call her, Mickey Cindy Mouse. I said, when we move, we're going to run a business from home. We've got to have cable modem or DSL. She showed me houses that didn't have it. But they said they have satellite network. It doesn't work for my business. Pick the phone up, call the listing agent, ask them. Can't pull it off. So we got to a point where I started doing that for myself. I just find out who the listing agent was, call them and say, I'm getting my agent to set up a listing, a viewing of this property. Before I even come out there, what do you guys have for, you got to do stuff like that. Whatever it is you're looking for, you got to take the reins, unless you're lucky and get a good agent. But you're going to have to deal with probably a buyer's agent anyway. And because you're not going to have the time to do the legwork. You're going to have to do the online legwork, let them do the on-site legwork, and really verify properties before you spend time when you're remote shopping. Get on Google Earth, look at the property. If there's something that's going to make it a deal killer for you, don't let your dreams take over and get you spending 4, 5, 6, 7 hours of your day to go look at 2 properties that you're going to say no to both of them. So if you pull up a property and then you realize, hey, this thing's like half a block from a major interstate and I don't want that, don't go look at it. Don't go look at it, because there's some other things we're going to talk about here in just a second in the next segment that we're going to move on to.